In the beginning, there was only a vast void called Ginnungagap. On one side was Niflheim, a land of ice and cold mists. On the other side was Muspelheim, a fiery, scorching place. As the icy frost from Niflheim melted from Muspelheim's heat, streams of venom called Elivagar flowed into Ginnungagap. The meeting of ice and fire created the first beings, a giant named Ymir and a cow named Audhumla. Ymir drank milk from Audhumla, and from him came other giants. Audhumla, licking salty ice, brought Buri to life. Buri's son, Bor, had 3 sons with Bestla, the daughter of a giant, Odin, Vili, and Vi. These 3 brothers became the ancestors of the Aesir, the gods of Asgard. The giants grew numerous, so Odin, Vili, and Vi killed Ymir. His blood flooded the land, drowning all the giants except Bergelmir and his wife, who escaped on a boat. From Ymir's body, the gods created the world. His flesh became the earth. His bones turned into mountains and stones. His hair became trees and grass. His skull formed the sky. His brain became the clouds. Even maggots in Ymir's body transformed into dwarfs who lived underground or in rocks. The brothers Odin, Vili, and Ve created the first humans, Ask and Embla, from 2 trees. Odin gave them breath, Vili gave them minds, and Ve gave them warmth and color. These 2 became the ancestors of all humans. The gods also made the sun, moon, and stars from sparks from Muspelheim. The sun and moon were placed in chariots pulled by horses named Arvak and Alsvin. 2 children, Sun and Moon, were chosen to guide these chariots. The moon even took 2 children, Bil and Huki, to join him in his journey. However, danger always loomed. The giants hated the gods and humans. A terrible giantess gave birth to wolves, including Skoll and Hati, who chased the sun and moon across the sky, trying to devour them. One day, they will succeed. To protect themselves and humanity, the gods built a great fortress called Midgard from Ymir's eyebrows. Midgard surrounded the central realm of the earth. Outside it lay Jotunheim, the land of the giants. The gods made their own home at the center of the universe, called Asgard. Odin sat in his throne, where he could see everything, in heaven and on earth. In addition to the Aesir, there were other beings in the universe. The Vanir, nature gods from Vanaheim, who eventually made peace with the Aesir after a war. Njord, Frey, and Freya were Vanir, who joined the Aesir. Elves, bright elves, who lived in Alfheim, were beautiful and good, while dark elves, who lived underground, were darker and more mischievous. This rich and imaginative mythology showed how the ancient Norse people saw their world, full of gods, giants, and magical creatures. In Asgard, the gods, called the Aesir, built a massive fortress. At its center were the plains of Ida, where they built 2 grand halls. Gladsheim. This hall had high seats for Odin and 12 other important gods. Vingolf. This was a hall for Frigg and the goddesses. Nearby was Lidskjalf, Odin's special seat, from which he could see everything in the universe. Around it stood Valaskjalf, a hall with a shining silver roof. The greatest hall in Asgard was Valhalla, Odin's banquet hall. Here, Odin welcomed brave warriors who had died in battle, called the Einherjar. Valhalla was enormous, with 640 doors, each big enough for 960 warriors to march through side by side. The gods built a rainbow bridge called Bifrost to connect heaven, Asgard, and earth, Midgard. The red glow of the bridge was from an eternal fire, which kept the giants from crossing. Bifrost was strong and beautiful, but would eventually break when the world ended. Odin was the leader of the gods and was called All-Father because he was the mightiest and protected everything. Together with 12 other important gods, he ruled the universe. Every day, they met in Gladsheim to decide the future and discuss important matters. The gods were seen as shining, holy, and powerful protectors of humans. They fought against giants, dwarfs, and dark elves to keep the world safe and ensure justice. The gods often gathered at Yggdrasil, a massive ash tree that connected the universe. This tree had 3 roots. The Aesir's root. Near this root was a well called Urd's Well, where the gods held their meetings. The giant's root. This root was near a well belonging to a wise giant named Mimir, who drank from it daily to gain great knowledge. The Niflheim root. This root was in the icy land of Niflheim, next to a terrifying well called Vergelmir. A huge serpent named Nidhogg and other snakes gnawed on this root, threatening to destroy the tree. Odin was the wisest of all gods, and others often came to him for advice. He gained much of his wisdom by drinking from the well of the giant Mimir, but he had to give up one of his eyes in exchange. This is why Odin is often shown as an old one-eyed man. Odin loved wine and drank it as his only food. He gave his meat to his wolves, Geri and Freki, while his two ravens, Hugin, Thought, and Munin, Memory, flew across the world every day gathering information for him. This made Odin the god of ravens. From his throne, Lidskjalf, Odin could see everything happening in the universe. He traveled on his magical 8-legged horse, Sleipnir, and carried a spear called Gungnir, which always hit its target. On his arm, he wore a special ring, Draupnir, that created 8 identical rings every 9 nights. Odin's worship often involved human sacrifices. People were sometimes hung from trees or pierced with spears as offerings to him. These rituals made Odin seem like a harsh and fearsome god, earning him titles like the god of hanged men. Warriors also dedicated their enemies to Odin by throwing spears over them before battle and shouting, "Odin owns you all." Odin wanted to gather as many heroic warriors as possible for the final battle against the enemies of the gods. This is why he welcomed brave warriors who died in battle to his hall, Valhalla. Odin's family included his wives, Frigg and Jord, as well as several children. Thor with Jord, Balder with Frigg, Vidar, Vali, Heimdall, and Hod. Other famous descendants were kings and warriors who claimed Odin as their ancestor. Thor was the second most important god, known for protecting people from giants and wild forces of nature. He controlled thunder, lightning, rain, and harvests. Thor was a god of strength and fertility, often battling giants to keep the world safe. Thor rode in a chariot pulled by 2 magical goats, Tungnjoster and Tungrisnir, whose hooves made the sound of thunder. He could eat the goats and then bring them back to life as long as all their bones were gathered. Thor owned 3 powerful objects: Mjolnir, his magical hammer that always returned to his hand; iron gloves to help him wield his hammer; a belt of strength that doubled his power when he wore it. Thor lived in Thrudvang, where his hall, Bilskirnir, had 540 rooms, making it the largest hall in the world. He was married to the goddess Sif, who had golden hair. Together they had children, including Modi and Thrud. With the giantess Jarnsaxa, Thor also had a son, Magni. Thor was hot-tempered and impulsive. When he faced giants, mountains shook and the earth burned. He rarely used the Rainbow Bridge, Bifrost, to cross worlds. Instead, he preferred to wade through rivers. The people of the North loved and worshipped Thor widely. Many places were named after him, and stories often spoke of his strength and courage. He was seen as tall, strong, and handsome, with a fiery red beard and hammer always in his hand. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos.